And Slash actually came to me first thing in the morning before electronics class, and he goes, "Hey, I saw this guy. He's going to be your favorite guitar player. I know it, you know." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, you know." He goes, "His name's Randy Rhoads, and that's the picture on the side of the Starwood." I'm like, "The blonde guy?"
Two future guitar heroes, one wild LA childhood. Before Guns N' Roses, before LA Guns, Tracii Guns and Slash were just two kids skateboarding to school, obsessing over riffs and pushing each other to get better with every note. But what was it like really growing up with Slash? Who inspired the two of them? And how did a trip to see Mötley Crüe flip Tracii's world upside down? In this exclusive clip, Tracii shares stories about his friendship and friendly rivalry with Slash, their rise through the LA scene, and the exact moment he knew that rock and roll was his only path. It's raw, it's real, and it's straight from one of the guys who helped shape the sound. I'm Paul Stevenson from VRP Rocks, and this is Tracii Guns.
I started, you know, little bands in junior high school, and through high school, and my high school band was called Pyrus, and we ended up morphing into this very early version of LA Guns about 1982. And I noticed that, you know, and then, you know, also I went to, you know, I grew up with Slash, like starting at like 10, 11 years old, and he didn't play guitar. And when we were about 12, he wanted to start playing guitar. So we started taking guitar lessons, and he was getting really good. And I was like, I want to be really good like that. You know what I mean? So, you know, we kind of had that going for us where we had like a friend, you know, a real rock and roll friends. And we were always looking at like, well, what did you learn? What are you learning? What are you working on? You know? So I really had that going, and then that created kind of a little bit of a competitive spirit, you know, of getting better and better and better because, you know, I can't let him play Achilles Last Stand and I'm still stuck on Mongoloid by Devo, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we had to stay in that same, you know, kind of box. And then, you know, the discussions that we had walking to school and stuff were equally as important as, you know, watching each other play or, you know, whatever we would do. And so we were kind of like, well, if I don't make it, then this is all worth nothing. You know what I mean? So like I think we were both in the mindset of like, this is what we're gonna do. This is it. We are identified as, you know, rock guitar players by the age of 12 and 13 years old, you know, junior high school. So by high school, you know, we were playing at the high school, you know, our bands would play at lunchtime and stuff like that. And then my bass player, one of my best friends, you know, growing up, this guy, Danny Tull, he showed me a little ad for Motley Crue. And we used to have a magazine, a weekly magazine called Music Connection, and they had an ad in there, and they were playing at the Troubadour, and I saw the picture, and he knew that I would like that picture, you know, that image, you know, the early Motley Crue with all the leather and the crazy hair, and I was like, oh, we're going to that. So you know, we rode our skateboards to the Troubadour when I was like 15, and we saw Motley Crue, and that was it, you know. I saw Nikki Sixx and Mick Mars, and I was like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. That they were so loud and they look so cool, man. Yeah, that was it. That was the end of everything. You know, I mean, aside from watching, you know, the Song Remains the Same movie, you know, which played at the big theaters every weekend. You know, that was everything. It was, you know, Jimmy Page, and then I saw Motley Crue live, and that was that. Nothing was going to get in my way at that point. That was it. That was it.
Incredible stuff. And so you went to school with Slash, and I think a couple of the guys from the Red Hot Chili Peppers went to your school as well, didn't they? Was it Anthony and Flea were there? Were they above you, below you, same time? What was that?
Yeah, they're let's see, Flea, I think just turned 61. They're 2 years older than us. So they were gone by the time we got into Fairfax High School, but we became friends through the music scene at about that same time. And our scene was cool, man. We had so many guys doing so much different stuff was going on. We still kind of had, the LA punk rock scene hangover, like it was still hanging on, like, around 1980, 81. And then, you had Quiet Riot with Randy Rhoads was still doing it, and they didn't get signed, but then he went to Ozzy, and I didn't really know about them other than seeing their picture on this nightclub we had, the Starwood. There was a giant picture of Quiet Riot with Randy Rhoads. And Slash actually came to me first thing in the morning before electronics class, and he goes, "Hey, I saw this guy. He's going to be your favorite guitar player. I know it." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." He goes, "His name's Randy Rhoads, and that's the picture on the side of the Starwood." I'm like, "The blonde guy?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "He plays an Explorer." I'll never forget it. He plays an Explorer, and he plays up and down like this instead of like this. And I'm like, "Oh, what band is he in?" Like I had no clue. I didn't even know Ozzy wasn't in Black Sabbath at that time. He's in Ozzy Osbourne's band. I'm like, like Black Sabbath? He goes, "No, Ozzy has his own, like, yeah. Don't you know what's going on?" I'm like, "No, I have no idea what's going on." So that same weekend, uh, my dad's taking me to the beach to go surfing, and Crazy Train came on the radio, and I knew instantly. I knew. Yeah, I'm like, "Whoa!" Then that solo busted in. I'm like, "Oh my god!" It was like the first time I heard Van Halen or something. But there was this new one, and it was Randy Rhoads, and then I became obsessed with him. So at that point, I had a big dilemma: do I bleach my hair blonde, or do I keep it dyed black? Like, which way am I going here? And so, I learned the Blizzard of Oz record the same time I was learning like Scorpions' Animal Magnetism record, and still playing along with Sabbath and Jimmy Page and Ted Nugent and all that stuff. And then I started meeting strangers, other musicians and stuff, and had a nice little whirlwind,
Indeed.
from like 17, from 17 to now. It's just been a tornado, just like whoa, 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 whoa. That's what I get for being friendly. It's like, yeah, I'll play with you, sure, yeah, why not? Yeah, we can do anything we want. But that's how I ended up in a position where um, I was so stupid that I actually made a career out of it. Because there was no other way. It's like I don't even know if I believed in myself. I don't even know if I still believe in myself, but